Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to the town hall on such a beautiful weather afternoon. We ran into a student coming into the building earlier this afternoon and just said, boy, it must be hard to go to class on a day like today, Friday, sunny and warm. And she chuckled and said, yes, but, and kept going. So that's good. I think we all remember those days when we were students and wanted to start enjoying the good spring/summer weather. So I want to first start by congratulating all of our colleagues who are in the room and out of the room and who aren't even with us here today on your tenure and promotion. The letters went out. I just received copies, so I assume they went out to everyone at the same time. And that's really a great achievement. So I want us just to take a moment to congratulate them on this really fine achievement in their careers. So maybe we'll do a virtual and real clap. How about that?
Sure.
All right, important moment for all of us. In a future communication, I'll list everyone by name. They literally came to me as I was coming here, so I can't do that right now. As some of us were talking about a few moments ago, the semester is quickly coming to an end, but that also means that the year is coming to an end. And for us, it's a really big moment, right? We've made it the entire year on campus, mostly in person, and I would say with really a lot to be proud of for many reasons. So it's been hard work, your own hard work, dedication. We came together as a community, not only our college, but the whole campus. And that's really important. Sometimes we're so busy with our work, time goes so fast, we forget about that. But it's really important to remember just where we were when we started, where we were midway through, and then where we are right now. So that's fantastic. I want to say just a few words about enrollments and retention. As you remember, we're down as a university about 5%. Part of this is COVID related, but it's probably not all COVID related. We have done very well. We've weathered the storm well, but that still is 5% down. That means tuitions are down and revenue are down too. This makes our jobs in retention even more important. Okay, what that means is not only what you do in the classroom, but right now, before we get too much closer to final exams, faculty advisors really should be reaching out to each of their advisees, an email message, however you normally do it. We have the students here, they're engaged in their studies. It's much better to reach out to them now than to wait till after exams when they start to disconnect, right? For lots of reasons and good reasons as well. So reach out to your advisees, those of you who have them, and just let them know that you're ready to help them and when that might be. And hopefully that'll help retention. Every student we retain makes an impact on the budget, right? Tuition revenues. And it multiplies not only across our college, but across the campus. So that's really important. Our retention rate, as you know, is high, or it has been to this point. We'll see what it ends up being next fall. It was strong between fall and spring. That's a good sign. And again, thinking about retention revenues, this impacts not only our budget as we think of it holistically, but also faculty hiring. I want to move into faculty hiring now for a few moments by starting with the searches we had this year. Thank you to everyone who participated. It's a lot of hard work. And if we, in the future, we'll have more searches to do, maybe additional numbers of searches. That means even more work for us to do. But it's really important because that's how we build the college. That's how we build our future. This year, so far, we've had successful searches in geography, criminal justice, which had 2 hires, and political science. The others are still not there to success. We're waiting to hear what searches we'll be able to do next academic year. I'm not sure when that will come out. Hopefully it'll come out before the end of the month, but it may be a little bit later. I know that they're watching enrollments very carefully. In the college, I'm very happy to announce that we have a new CLA advisor. We haven't had one for a number of years, and her name is Kelly Johnson. Some of you may have already met her when she was interviewing on campus. She's a Towson alumna who received a master's degree in counseling, and she has experience at the community college level. So I want to thank Karen for her hard work on that search committee, and I want you just to say a few more words. And who else? I'm sorry.
Other people that.
All right, you go ahead and tell us.
And Pooja were both on the.
Pooja, I'm
committee.
sorry. Pooja was on there too. That's right. Who are all the search committee members?
It was Jeff Monroe, Alicia Reeves, Pooja Barr, Lisa Martinelli, and Carol Caron.
Great. Well, thank you to the committee. So do you want to say anything more about Kelly?
We're delighted. She starts next week, and she will be hopefully meeting and mingling with everybody. Not everybody, but as many students and faculty as we can arrange. I'm right now building a schedule for 2 weeks, and if you want to be on her 2-week schedule, please let me know. I'm looking at Teresa, and maybe we can put Teresa on that 2-week schedule. Okay. And maybe some of the search committee members. She will meet with the chairs and departments, I hope, as time unfolds. But she is not new to the university. She got her undergraduate degree in this college in Family and Human Services about 12 years ago. So please join me in welcoming her.
And
You might know where her office is.
It's
where is she
building
sitting?
2350.
Okay. We'll put an announcement out. You'll see it in email. You'll be able to find her very easily. So that's really good for the college moving forward. As you know, there are many events going on right now. I attend as many as I can. If I can, I go in person, and they're really, again, they speak to the spirit of our college and the community. They're well attended in person and Zoom. So I think we're going to continue this hybrid model going forward. One of those that I just want to single out was the Ukraine Roundtable. We had 200 people attending that. And I want to thank the panelists and everyone who was able to make it that night. It is available right on a recording on our YouTube channel. So if someone wants to see it, and we've shared it with the alumni and quite broadly, you can provide them the link. I want to give you a few other updates. One of them is about the Democracy Today initiative. The websites should go live fairly soon, maybe in the next few weeks.
And next week we meet on Monday
And next week.
with the web team so that we can get that done.
So there you'll see in sort of physical, literal form what I've been talking about for quite a while now. We had 2 reading group meetings for Democracy Today this semester. The attendance was low, but the conversation discussion was very rich. And so there's one more coming up next month. We'll send announcements and reminders, and hopefully you'll have a moment to come. You don't have to read the assignments for those days, those quote unquote assignments, but if you come, you should still be able to participate. So the way these conversations have gone is that the readings are sort of the launch pad for what we talk about, and ideas come out of those meetings. Some ideas come out of those meetings that then I can put forward to other groups. And so it's a great way to meet other people in the college, because usually everyone doesn't know everyone, even though it's a small group. And it's a good way to spend an hour doing something that we all, I think, really enjoy doing. And that's engaging with important ideas and our colleagues as well. The committee met just a short while ago, and those who are on the committee who are here know we had a very vibrant discussion. I think, right, we can say it was vibrant. Yeah, it's an excellent group who is very generous, sharing their thoughts, ideas for the future. So we're looking to next year. I won't say anything in detail right now, but we're looking next year to start to engage students in some activities that we're planning, and very likely we'll have more reading as a community to do, but that's all I can say right now. The commemorative moments that I've talked about, they're ready to launch too, probably next week. So you'll get to look at the calendar that the committee put together, and then start thinking about events that you're planning next year or teaching and how they might link into them. And what I'm hoping is that we'll have another staff member in the dean's office by then who can help coordinate and help you in some way promote your events using the commemorative moments page and other means. I want to just say a few words about beautification of the building, because if you walk around the building, and I shouldn't say just walk around, but walk around the entire building at some point between these town halls, you'll notice things are happening. So the hallway near the anthropology lab has a new, not just stenciling, but photographs of our students in action. I think it's called CLA in action.
Like at a glance.
At a glance, I'm sorry, CLA at a glance. So take a look, it's on the 3rd floor. You might see some of your former students in those photos. I think there is, I think 1 or 2 faculty might appear in some of those photos as well. So just take a look at it, and we plan to do more of this throughout the building. There are too many empty wall spaces, right? White spaces or off-white spaces. And I don't mean in the classroom, but in the hallways. And so we want to make those a little bit warmer for the students who spent, and us, but especially students who spend a lot of time here in the building. Another bit of good news, really brand new good news. Paz Gallupo, if you came to the dean's conversation last month, you heard Paz Gallupo, who is a professor of psychology, speak about her research and grants she's applied for and received. And she just found out she received a new NIH grant. It's a significant grant for Paz, for the field, for the college. And I'll provide more information about that another time, but it's a really important moment. So congratulations to Paz Gallupo. Next month's town hall is important for a number of reasons. First of all, we'll be honoring retired faculty members. So if you want to come and enjoy that moment, that would be fantastic. In addition to the town hall, we'll have a small reception afterwards. We're also going to be visited by the provost. So again, we'll ask you at some point to submit questions either through the anonymous web link or to cla@towson.edu directly. And you don't need to, you can just come and ask your questions. That's absolutely fine too. So I want to turn now, I didn't have too many things to say. I want to leave it open mostly to you, but I want to turn to a few questions that were asked in the past. And I may or may not have answered. I know I've answered some of them privately, but maybe not so publicly. But there was a question about the kind of support that the university provides for students who are parents. I'm not exactly sure what all that involved. I mean, I read the question. I will say at last week's Democracy Today reading group, this came up in the following way. So one of the members or one of the people who participated in the reading group asked about support for students with parents who, because something happens, there's a family emergency, a child becomes sick or whatever, they can't make a class or they can't make the assignment right on time. Is there any policy at the university similar to the religious policy? And I don't know. I did put that question forth. I talked to someone about it. They were not aware of it, but we're looking into it. Several offices could actually be involved in that if it exists. I suspect it may not exist, but I don't know. If it exists, we need to make that clearer and consider what other supports we might be able to provide parents. I know there was a question for sure about parents during COVID, right? Who had to stay at home with their children who might not have been in school. They might have been homeschooling because the schools were closed. I'm not going to speak to that because that's past. If it comes back, that's another matter. But right now, that one is not relevant anymore. I was asked about all gender bathrooms in the building. So I asked, Teresa helped me with that, but I decided I would go online and search because our website has a really good search tool. So I searched and I didn't use the right terms in the sense that it wasn't the way it's stated on our webpage, but it came up anyway. So there are all gender bathrooms. You can find a list on our webpage, which is simply a narrative, right? It's text, or you can go to the map. There's also a map with with all gender bathrooms around the campus. So it'll tell you which buildings, and I think it also tells you the room numbers and so forth. So either way, you'll be able to find them. The numbers in CLA or in LA are 3231 and 4231. And they're marked, so you should be able to find them without much difficulty. I was also asked, there was a question about policy about the use of the restroom that best aligns with individuals' gender identification. I will say, I haven't yet gotten an answer, but I just recently put that question out too. So I'm waiting for an answer. And what's really good about the questions that you submit is that first, there might be information everyone needs to have or wants to have, but it helps the university think about things that they may not have thought of before. I'm not saying they don't have a policy on this, but it is important to bring those questions forward, and then I pass them along. I discuss them with the different offices that I think are appropriate, or they tell me where I should go and continue that discussion. So it's really important to get these questions. I've had questions throughout the year and semester about menstrual products. There is a project on campus. And so I can tell you that, but Teresa, I think maybe since you're more involved, maybe you should say the update on that, and I might add a few words.
This project is a SGA project, and because it was an SGA project brought by their constituents, their health officer is spearheading this, and I am basically on standby for when they mobilize. Right now, I found out this morning at about 9:45 in my building managers meeting with ABM is that they're implementing this project in the University Union first, and they're working on it. But because of the interest in CLA, I am doing a stopgap here. I offered SGA to have our gender neutral bathrooms and our nursing room to be utilized for the distribution of those, specifically because I took into consideration, number one, we have a lot of bathrooms for our housekeeping. If we get to that point, we have over 30 bathrooms in LA. So if they have to fill that, fill each and every one of those, that is on top of everything else, and they kind of have a hard enough time filling the paper towels. But I also took into consideration the mental health of a bleeding individual that was that identifies as male, and they go into a male restroom and they go and get one of these products in the age of social networking. That could have a negative impact because sometimes people are cool and they may not accept that someone is taking a menstrual product out of a identified, classified men's restroom. And I don't want to put anyone through this. And so in order to give people the privacy that they deserve, that allows them to go into a neutral space and get these products and not feel as though that someone will either think that they're in the wrong space to get these products or they're not financially capable, when it could be just a matter of fact that they forgot to pack it and it happened on a fly. And so in order to take into consideration mental aspects and a global ease to provide these products and give housekeeping, which seems to be the designated division to fill these bins, it is easier for all parties involved and more respectful to actually distribute those in our gender neutral restrooms and our nursing mother rooms, which are centrally located in our building.
Thank you. Okay, you can ask questions about any of this during the Q&A. Another update has to do with, I believe we talked earlier in this year about space for is this the cleaning staff?
ABM, yes.
ABM. Okay, housekeeping. They didn't have space to eat lunch. So they were, and Teresa can correct me because my memory might be a little bit faulty here. They were essentially eating in their workrooms, which
Yes.
is where they keep their supplies, and it wasn't appropriate. So we have provided an office on the 5th floor that was available so that they could go and have lunch in a place that's appropriate for eating, okay? And we'll monitor that and make sure it's sufficient and make changes as needed. There was a question about student success, especially for first-year students. and if the university is responding and how. So at the end of the first semester, there was a concern by faculty in different colleges, not only ours, but I hear from our college about student performance and perhaps, high rate of Ds, Fs, and incompletes. So we waited for the semester to end and looked at the data. And there is in specific classes, specific freshman classes, TSEMs and English 102, I believe. And there was not a significant difference in the grades year to year. Was there a difference? Yes, but it was not anything across the board. So in response, the Writing Center has put more supports in place this semester for first-year students in those classes, but it's also more widely available. I did ask the other deans who have big freshman classes, and it, again, very different performance in each college. Some colleges said there was not much difference, just like in ours, but in other colleges, it was a little bit greater, like in the sciences. So because of the scaffolding of courses in the sciences, the intervention has to be, really rigorous. I don't think that we should dismiss writing. It also should be rigorous, but we know that you can continue on your studies even if you haven't performed well in your first year writing courses that are required, like it or not. I mean, that's a whole different discussion. One other thing I wanted to say about that, and just because the number of students who didn't do well this year was slightly higher than it was the last 5 years is not insignificant in another way. Those are actual students, and this matters to their lives. And so we should not just say, oh, well, the difference was 2% or whatever it was. I don't remember right now, but it was very low. In raw numbers, it still might be, it was still around 50 students for one type of class and under 100 for another. That's significant. And if we don't address that, that means they're probably not going to succeed moving forward, or it's going to be much more difficult for them to succeed. So to say that the change was small, it's important to note that, but it's also important to remember that we have to work with those students very hard. We don't also know the residual effect of COVID on next year's incoming class, right? So we might have more to work on that year. So I've been in conversations within the college, with the provost's office, with my fellow deans about what can we do to both monitor this and then respond to this as necessary. And the responses are really different because we are not dealing with math courses, so we aren't involved in that, but writing impacts all the students at the university. That is a much different thing, but often it's considered a CLA, CLA maybe problem or endeavor, but it really impacts everyone. So what I've been trying to do is put that on people's radar beyond CLA, because it will impact them down the road as well. That's all I have to say. So I'll open it up to questions both in the room and via Zoom. So what questions might you have for me? Sam.
Just building off of your last comment, I actually think that it might be indeed more serious than that, because a lot of us have been very lenient in terms of deadlines and so on, and I feel comfortable with that. Frankly, I just want them to do the work in my class, and if they're a little bit late on it, that's fine. If they're a lot late on it, I'll still accept it. These are for some of us, these are relatively new policies that we started because of COVID. So what I'm saying is that our grades that we're giving out reflect that leniency, and we still have an increase in failing grades. So I can tell you that the number of students that I have, because again, with my policies, I still have students that have given me nothing.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't grade nothing. I need something here. It's not like and it's not even FX. Because they'll show up sometimes. Like, hey, I'm here. I'm like, you didn't hand in anything, nothing. So I mean, I think this is an interesting and worrisome trend that I don't know if it's going to be something that gets better or continues.
So what are the others experiencing? What are the rest of you experiencing? I'll start with Jennifer and then go to,
Yeah, I can just totally
Right.
piggyback on that. I teach English 102, and what we're seeing, I'm saying we because I've been in contact with others, is, there are the completely absent students. There are the students who are doing just fine, that we feel really good about. And then there's the middle struggling section, and it's the strugglers who are becoming fewer and fewer, right? That used to be the bulk of the students, and now it's just shrinking, and the failing students is really growing. And my question for you, just now you mentioned looking at the numbers of Ds, Fs, and Is. Did you include in your analysis at the withdrawals? Because a lot of the story is in that category as well.
I can't remember. I have to be honest. I don't remember. I know we didn't include, I don't think we included incomplete, so we probably included withdrawals. I actually didn't put it together. I asked Bob Giordani to do it. So I have to look at that again. I think withdrawals is an important category to look at. Incompletes, I believe he wanted to, I mean, the numbers were there, but not to consider because they could be completed still. But we have to look at this as a whole this summer, once we get second semester grades. But yeah, that's,
But this point about leniency, I think, is really important as well. I know I made major changes in my syllabus just to make it doable under the current circumstances. And then, I think the fact that there's also the question of the impact on the faculty as well as the impact on the students, because it's taking a lot of soul searching, for want of a better word, to think about what does it mean to give an A under these circumstances, and is it the same as the A that I gave last semester, and am I doing the people a disservice by requiring 3 papers instead of 4? And I mean, there is a lot of pedagogical work that goes into the responses that we've made to the pandemic in terms of our teaching.
so the leniency, I think that's really critical to this because of what you just said. How many of the rest of you here or virtually are also thinking, well, the same way, like, well, we have to be more lenient or else we won't. So I'm seeing some hands go up in the room here. All right.
There's a couple comments that, not specifically to your point, Jennifer, but they're seeing some of what you reported, Sam, that no work submitted, no response to instructors, and then one comment about students being ill-prepared for college. So,
Okay. Ill preparation. Okay. So we have, and Marguerite, I'll get to it in a moment. We have a new person coming in for enrollment management, vice president. He should be coming in the beginning of May to overlap time with Bob Giordani for a month. And so when we interviewed him, we asked questions like this, but of course, many other questions. I don't recall what his specific answers were, but I think he'll be able to provide some ideas and guidance. I think it's, again, not just our college's problem. It may not be happening everywhere the same way, but I think it's more widespread than CLA. And so what I have talked to the provost about, Bob Giordani and a few others, is that this needs to be a university response, not a college response. Of course, we all have to respond, and in your departments, you may have your own approaches based on your disciplines or pedagogies, but it has to be something that at the university level is recognized as an important, I'll call it a problem, right? Or potential problem for the students we haven't yet gotten, like next year's first years. So we have the summer to work on that, but that's not a lot of time. And we'll look at the grades again after the end of the semester and see what they might tell us. Margarita, and then we'll go back to you. Yeah, Margarita.
Yeah, so that's what I hear from faculty in my department too, that attendance is erratic. Students don't believe that they should attend, so they don't do it with a sense of guilt. They just don't show up. There's no excuse. They do not reply to messages. I think we have to consider that the students that we're seeing, they've spent at least 1 year or 2 years in high school in the pandemic. And leniency takes on a all different meaning in high school, meaning there are no expectations, there, like zero expectations. And on one hand, having kids that are in high school or finished high school and just started college, I understand that they needed that at times, but at that age, 2 years is such a long time that they haven't developed this sense of attending, completing, responding. And so I agree with Jennifer. It's just, I don't know what I should expect anymore.
I'm trying to take notes. Yes, I go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and this fits right in with what you're doing. My daughter just took on a job as a long-term substitute at one of the local high schools. And she's, what the policy is that if there's an assignment due, they have until the end of the quarter to turn it in. It doesn't have to be turned in. You can't get it by Friday. As long as the quarter's not over, they still can turn it in. It doesn't matter what it is. So she's gotten a whole bunch of assignments that were due months ago, weeks ago, whatever, and they're all just sort of, oh, well, I'll do that. I'll do that later. She's trying to convince them to turn them in on time, but that's a hard sell when they don't have to. They literally don't have to, and the teachers don't have a chance to say, no, you do.
No. And no points taken off for that? No penalties?
No points, no penalties. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever you can turn it in, turn it in. That's.
Right. Anyone from Zoom adding to this?
Yep. So they're agreeing with the issue of leniency, and there's a comment that to, when time permits, to do the honor of talking a little bit about our Fulbright winners who all came from CLA.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything about that. I sent that out already, didn't I?
No,
Yeah.
Can I make
I
a
didn't send
comment?
that out.
I couldn't hear.
And that's what I'm saying, because we have Barbara that is trying to translate.
Oh.
If you guys can speak a little louder so
Oh, I
that she
will.
can
I'm
translate
sorry.
for ASL, that would be great.
So I thought I sent that out this week, and if I didn't, I'll say it now. I didn't want to repeat what I had already sent out. So the leniency, so Karen said that on the Zoom, I guess the chat box, yes, the leniency concern is widespread. So I will definitely raise this beyond the college. But I also want to talk within the college as well. I was asked to mention the Fulbright winners. So maybe I didn't send it out earlier this week. So this year there were 4 student Fulbright winners at Towson University. This is the largest number in its history, and all of them came from CLA. The countries, and I don't remember offhand their names, but the countries they're going to, I believe 2 are going to Spain, 1 is going to Italy, and the 3rd one, I believe, is going to the UK. And we have a faculty member who also received a Fulbright, and that's Fran Botkin for Jamaica. So this is really excellent news. It attests to the hard work all of you do with our students. This is not an individual, enterprise by any means. Of course, the students have to do the work, right? But it's through your encouragement, your exciting classes, the way you engage with students outside of classes, all of that matters, right? And for Fran Botkin, it shows, just how her research is respected beyond the college at a national and international level too. So I'm happy to see those. I'm a former Fulbright winner myself. They're very hard to get, but we should be trying for all of these kinds of awards, right? Yes. Who else have I forgotten?
So, no, I just want to mention that of course, the Fulbright competition is underway for this year with the applications due in September. And I know this because I am, along with Nancy Defoe, the Fulbright liaisons for the university, and I'm happy to work with anyone on their application.
Thank you. That's really great. I did that at my previous university. It's really important that the university has people like Sam, and I don't know who else is doing it, helping our students with applications, okay?
Faculty with applications.
Oh, faculty, I thought you said.
Yeah,
students.
well,
Faculty.
students is like a whole other program, and that works through study abroad office. Liz here is in charge of that group and matching up our students with faculty advisors to work on applications.
And so the application has to be like a year and a half in advance, right? You
Yeah,
have to plan
they've
it
already
even
started, so
before
they should have a draft, the students should have a draft done by, like end of May, early June.
For which year?
For this coming deadline will be October
So they wouldn't go until October 23.
2023, correct, yep.
And then for faculty, is it similar?
Right, so the deadline used to be very different for faculty than for students. Now it's about the same.
Okay. All right, good, thanks. Sorry, I got that mixed up.
Allison McCartney provided the names of the recipients, if you'd like me to share them.
So did I not send that out this week? I thought I sent.
I got one.
I'm just gonna refer people back.
Remember that?
You sent it.
Yeah.
So I would refer everyone to the dots. It's not that I don't want to mention them, but let's see what other questions we have. I'm trying to make use of this time so that I don't repeat, but clearly I've forgotten sometimes what I have and haven't said because I don't take notes in this part very well. Yes, Jennifer.
I wanted to bring up a different topic, if that's okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's going back to the gender neutral bathrooms. I think Teresa mentioned there were 31 bathrooms in the building or over 31, and it sounded like there were 2 gender neutral bathrooms.
So on each floor of the College of Liberal Arts, there are, it's on 2, 3, and 4, there are 2 designated male and female bathrooms on each side, east and west side. On the 5th floor, there are 2 bathrooms, and on the 1st floor, there are 2 bathrooms, and that's in addition to the gender neutral bathroom. So that housekeeping won't have to fill up, which they can't right now, they don't have staff to fill up menstrual products if they were to be placed in receptacles. In all of the LA bathrooms, what we're doing is targeting the gender neutral bathrooms, which we have 2 gender neutral bathrooms and 1 nursing room. Is that clear?
Yeah, that was clear before. I understand that, but what I want to suggest is that we don't have enough gender neutral bathrooms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When you
That I
said,
will bring up.
you said a large number, but is that the number of stalls or is that the number of actual
That's the
rooms?
number of restrooms, but what they tend to do is put 2 receptacles, like if you go in the bathroom now, there are 2 paper towel dispensers.
Yeah.
And so because normally someone is at 1, it would kind of impede the flow. And so the norm is to put 2 distribution receptacles, no matter what they are in those general spaces in each bathroom, which of course
Right.
increases the amount of items that housekeeping has to fill, and they kind of have a hard enough time with their staff filling paper towels and toilet
Yeah,
paper.
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I'm also going to check. I think now that I mentioned that map that I just discovered, I start with the map or the list and see, what do the other academic buildings have, and see, even if we're in line with them, we certainly can consider what you just said. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would also say, apropos of the housekeeping difficulty, that if this is a matter of equity, then maybe, I don't know, because I'm not fully informed on this, but it seems to me there's push room in getting more housekeeping staff, right? That's the direction we should push, not in, oh, well, we can only have menstrual products in 2 bathrooms because we don't have enough staff. That's an equity issue. And so it seems to me that's more important than the housekeeping.
And so I would say that I see both sides. So from an equity issue, I totally understand. I am working within the parameters that I am given. From a state of Maryland issue and a budget issue, which also has a contract attached, that is a whole other issue. And what we've done in order, we used to have less staff, housekeeping staff in CLA as a whole. To push that narrative was really hard. So in order to do that, if you guys remember, a couple of years ago, we actually put cameras to figure out how many people were looking at our digital signage, and we got those numbers. What I did is I took those numbers, which we had about 15,000 people walking past each of those monitors every week. I took those numbers to say, hey, housekeeping and the powers that be, this is how many people come through our bathrooms. Because back then there were so many problems of complaints of trash and toilet paper and stuff like that being on our floors. I took that number, and it was that quantitative data that allowed me to get the increase in the housekeeping staff that we have. I am doing that again, but because of COVID and what you guys are all talking about, how many people are actually coming to class, those numbers are low. And so right now I'm looking at about 9,000 people a week on that phase 3, the east side of the building, and about 2,000 people a week on this side. And so until I have the quantitative data that could actually justify increasing the housekeeping, and we just went through a new housekeeping contract, luckily our numbers stayed the same. There's no way I can justify it, because as you guys know, it really does take hard data to push dollars to be bought in to a state entity. And so that's where it comes from. And so I'm trying to marry both wants and needs to come up with the best solution and still make sure that everyone has what they need. That makes sense.
I noted the comments, just so you know. All right. Thank you. Any other questions here or outside?
Yes, there's one other question here. Do we have any information on whether budget for conference travel may increase for next year?
Sure. Exactly, no, because the budget hasn't been announced. But as I've said in previous town halls, I requested a significant increase. Should the budget, once the state budget all, devolves to our college, should it hold, it's expected to hold, just so you know, then yes, there'll be a significant increase. So over the summer, I'll be putting together different sort of guidelines for that, because we don't have that many new faculty, right? But I'm looking at this additional money. The reason I requested it is I certainly want to support research more. And I think the amount was too low. I think we could all agree with that. During COVID, we didn't spend the money because people weren't traveling. But when you're traveling, $1,000 is not enough. If you're going domestically, if you're going abroad, it's even more difficult. So I want to raise that number. I have something in mind, but I'd also like that to include other types of travel, like not just conference travel the way we think of it, but possibly training at the discussions, Dean's discussion or conversation last month when Sam and others who have applied for grants presented. We talked about supporting faculty who need to go for some kind of training for an NEH or an NIH, whatever it might be. How can you do that now and give a conference paper the same year? So I wanted more money, and I was told tentatively, yes, it's significant, but I'd rather not talk about dollar amounts first until I get the budget, and then I can make a decision, with other people involved on how to spend that money. But if we're moving to an R2, which we are, right? We're moving to an R2, we can't do that without additional supports like that. I've also decided that the only way to attract new R2 faculty is to give more startup money and in a different way for the faculty we're hiring starting next fall. So the people who will arrive will have slightly different packages. I don't really think of them as packages, they do, because I don't really put them together that way, but they'll say that, and how they can spend that too. So it has to be mostly research oriented. There's room for pedagogy, there's certainly room for that, but because we specifically were looking for faculty to help us move to R2, that money has to be pegged to R2. What other questions are there? I know we're close. No, we have time. Alicia, how about Alicia, and then we'll go to Karen.
Mine is quick. I don't know if we had an update on this, if I missed it. What is the status as far as international travel through the university?
Well, it's being allowed to begin with. I have supported it, by the way, because that takes more money to begin with. But there isn't a lot of it that's been going on. It's allowed, it is by level, and even if it's at, say, level 3, which was not permitted before, or level 4, you can, and I don't know the process, but I can put that out there. If maybe, Karen, can you make a note? Because I'm trying to talk. I'll put out the process of asking for permission to travel to those countries. And I don't know how easy it is to get, but I've gotten a number of those. And so I think the university is being more supportive of that. I'll put it that way. There may be countries so they still don't allow, but I don't know what those would be. Karen, you had someone coming in from Zoom.
I'm concerned about what the current workload, content, reading expectations are for students. The general expectations from pre-COVID is more than many of our students can handle. So I don't know if they're specified, I mean, the second writing course I know has written requirements.
And is that like a continuation of the conversation at the beginning, or this is something different? That's what I'm not sure, because I would guess that's part of the conversation. I'm not sure about lenience, student preparedness. Same issue, yeah, right. I agree. I agree with whoever wrote that in. Yes, exactly. I think there are many aspects of the problem, and that's important too. I mean, pre-COVID, I think we were all noticing student reading habits were different, right? We all know that. And it was harder in history. My experience was it was harder to get students, even at upper levels, to read a book. I mean, it sounds pretty sad. Definitely at first, second year level, it was a complete struggle. My department decided, for the most part, to use academic articles. Those aren't necessarily easier, right? Scholarly articles, but then we taught them how to read them because they didn't all come in with the same skill level. So we were noticing this shift before COVID. I think COVID has, aggravated, made it brought new aspects to it, more nuance to it. It's a good question. Any others? I should tell you, and you can still ask questions, but SGA, and then I've forgotten what the graduate, it's GSA, I think. Someone meets with me every semester. In the fall, it was monthly, and it's at their request, right? I'm open when they want to meet with me, but they set, the number of meetings, and I abide by that. So I do hear a lot from students about a wide variety of issues. I have not, of course, heard about this. I have not heard concerns about, other students not doing well, struggling, and so forth. I'm surprised that I hear almost nothing about mental health concerns. I heard something in the fall semester, but that student was overseeing like SGA's, is it health initiatives or something like that? So it was not even her main focus. They're more interested in things like textbooks, right? Textbooks, cost of textbooks, access to readings of the course, things like that, which are understandable, right? Because how can they learn if they can't access the materials? But I don't hear, what we're talking about today. I'm not sure how many students are thinking about that either, or if they're even aware of it. They're coming to learn, they're not coming to teach, right? Any other questions, comments, announcements? All right. There aren't many weeks left, and then it'll be summer, right? So hang on. Everyone's done a great job this year, and you can see we've had a great year in terms of awards, promotions, tenure and promotions. And so that's good news for all of us, right? Not just for the individuals. We want to keep that motion forward. All right. Thanks for coming today. And I will follow up with, I guess, a couple of things I have to look into, a couple of links. I'll follow that up pretty soon, not today. All right. Have a good weekend. And if you celebrate one of the numerous holidays this week, I don't know what the proper greetings are for them all, but enjoy the holiday weekend.